Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode, and I have a special treat for you. So if you need a little inspiration, you want to tune in and listen as I continue to kind of tee this up and tell you a little bit about Laura. Laura Broome embodies resilience and transformation. Her journey marked by breast cancer, the loss of her oldest son, her life-saving heart transplant, and a sudden divorce after 27 years of marriage showcases the human ability to triumph over adversity. She created the I Cope to Hope 3-step resilience framework to help others conquer their fear of change, overcome challenges, and rediscover joy. Her upcoming book, Flourishing After Adversity, a 3-step action plan to transform pain into purpose and embrace joy again, teaches the same resilience skills Laura used to experience positive growth while starting her life over at the age of 58. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Marisa. It's a joy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast because you are someone that really embodies resilience. A lot of people use the word a lot, but you have gone through a lot. So first of all, I want the listeners to know, where are you coming in from? Where do you live?
I am in San Antonio, Texas, and I've been a Texan all my life.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you have family there as well?
Mm-hmm. I do.
That's great.
I'm a native Houstonian. Yeah, so my family is still in the Houston area, and I live with my twin sister.
I know. That's so exciting. I actually got to meet her twin sister, and they are twins, and they are hysterical together. I like partners in crime, right? She's amazing.
Yes.
She's amazing. So she's a big supporter of you, I can tell, because you guys get along so well. I'm kind of envious. They really get along well. Don't you call yourselves the Giggle Twins?
The Giggle Twins, yes. We're like each other's best friends, so it's wonderful.
That's great. That's awesome. So to give people a little bit of context, why don't you share a little bit how we ended up working together? So it's been a little while now. Now that I think of it, it's been like a couple years that we've been working together. So why don't you give them a little bit of the backstory?
Yes. Well, gosh, we met. You were one of my mentors, and you started a new program, and I was so excited because I was put into a change of life when I. At 58, when I had to start my life over again, and I had to learn a new way of earning money. I had to just really start everything over. And we just met, and you were such an encouragement to me and gave me such insight. And I thought, I can really learn a lot from you. and you've been so encouraging and so helpful, and because of your background, being a copywriter, and I didn't even know what that was, and I've heard of it, but I was like, what does somebody like that do? And so it was such I learned so much, because this was a completely different, I guess, like a way of learning a new business. I had been an entrepreneur before. I was co-owner in a business with my husband at the time, but this was something completely different. Doing business online, I had a lot to learn. And you were so helpful and so knowledgeable, and really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're so right. It is different. There's some similarities between having a local business, brick and mortar, some similarities, but so different how we prospect, how we interact online, because we don't have the advantage of face-to-face contact all the time. And so it is very different. And so I thought it was really smart of you to start with Copy Connection, which is one of my programs, and learn copy, even though you didn't know exactly what it was. And that's, everybody is wondering that. I realize more and more I say copyright and they go, copy what? What is that? What do they do? Is that copyright? And I go, no, it's not copyright. But the power of words, right? Because that's what we have. That's our tool online, whether it's in text or audio or a video, we have to leverage those words. And we don't have a lot of time to do it too. We've got to do it quickly. So you did so well in Copy Connection. I mean, you were just doing every lesson. You were learning. Your copy was transforming. And then you ended up joining me for Amplify Your Authority. So that was awesome. That was the beginning of, was that the beginning of this year? I'm trying to think. Was it almost 12 months ago?
Yes, I believe. Yeah. Yes. I think it was January. Or gosh,
Wow.
I don't know. I just know whatever you offered, I wanted to stay in because I was learning so much. And I mean, Copy Connection, that truly opened my eyes to, I guess, like the world of marketing, because I had no experience in that. Mm-hmm. And your lessons were so easy to understand, and you walked us through the lessons, and the homework was great practice to put into action what we learned, and I realized it's not as hard as I thought it was. But
Mm-hmm.
when you don't deal with marketing, you just don't. It's just like a general word, and
Mm-hmm.
but learning in Copy Connection, I learned so much, dissected all the pieces, and it really resonated with me in the different parts. And like I said, I got to the point where I did not want to miss a live lesson, because I knew I would, if time was really tight for me, I'd have to really find time to listen to the replay. So it made me motivated to be at the lesson live so I could ask questions and take my notes and be ready to hit the homework.
Copywriting is such an essential part that when I offer Amplify Your Authority, which is more the components of building an online business, for those of you that don't know, it's a 6-month program, but the first 90 days is an intensive where you learn the system. It's about learning first, the first month, getting the branding right, the messaging, all of that. The second month is traffic, trying to figure out, how you're going to get clients. And I have a system for that so they can begin to prospect in a smart way without burning out. And then the third month is really about the products and having those multiple streams of revenue. Copywriting is so important for all of that. And I didn't want to give them a piece or a slice. So now when people sign up for Amplify Your Authority, they get Copy Connection as well, because I feel they complement each other, and it's an important part. So yeah, you kind of came along when Copy Connection launched, and then as I was implementing Amplify Your Authority, you decided, I'm going to just stay in, and so it's been great. So what kind of results have you seen from being in both programs? Because you really dived into both of them.
Yes. Well, what was excited when we started Amplify Your Message, it kind of put everything from Copy Connection, it just melded everything together. And so within the first 3 months, I had a speaking opportunity that I was so excited, because I think I was probably one of the few people who actually had a one sheet, my media page, to give to the event, and and that was so that took so much pressure off, and learning how to apply the speaking template to my message was even so helpful. And because when in listening to some of the other speakers, it was hard to understand what their messages or because we had like 15 to 30 minutes to speak, but I felt like mine was structured so well, because I learned how to do my opening and my 3 points, and and I had a lot of compliments, and that was great, because doing my first speech was very hard. It was online, thank goodness, but still, because you do tend to want to do that comparison thing, and it's like, no, don't compare, just concentrate on yourself, and it went well. It was very very exciting.
I remember that, and that is one of the things that we do in the second month, is create your press kit or your one sheet to position you. I didn't want to scare the audience and tell them I kind of push them into public speaking, but I do, and there's different ways to do this. It could be, I know most people go, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to join our program, but it is, think about it. Speaking is part of what we do, whether it's online, on a video, on a reel, whether it's a video, maybe on your website, we're always speaking. And so why not leverage that and learn to do it correctly and create talks for being a podcast guest, or even on a summit or an in-person event, which really that first opportunity you had was the first of many. You started getting some public speaking opportunities, and you even spoke at my Tennessee event, and you did a fabulous job. So polished. It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. That was a nice opportunity to speak live, and I think it was it was the second time. I really enjoyed the smaller events speaking live. Yeah. But it was so wonderful to be prepared. I think that's the thing. Yeah. Yes, if someone said, okay, you're going to have to do a presentation, of course, that's one of the number one things people are scared of. But when you come into it prepared, it really is just, if you have a little bit of nervousness, that's good, because that means you're ready to take on that task. But yeah, it was so nice being prepared and having a template, and then I could just reuse that depending on if my audience changes. It's just I got to tweak that a little bit, but it's really wonderful. I can use that presentation for any type of talk.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's a different audience. So the core remains the same. You just tweak the opening. That's awesome. I'm excited because I sort of want to transition into your book, because you've been working on this book. And I really appreciate all the kind words that you said, by the way, about copy connection and amplify your authority. But I really want to focus on you a little bit and talk about this book. What inspired this book?
I had a lot to say, and sometimes you can't cover it in about 15 or 30 minutes. The book has been a labor of love, and I never thought I'd ever write a book. But because of what I've been through, and I've overcome quite a bit in over a short period of time, 4 life-changing events in a 5-year period, and I realized if I can do it, I want other people to know they can overcome hardship and still experience joy in their life. And so, I've gone through quite a bit of challenges, but nothing like what happened from beginning 2015 with my breast cancer and losing my oldest son to suicide, and then a couple of years later, a heart transplant and the divorce. That was a lot to overcome, and learning how to deal with my grief. And when I got to the acceptance stage, I had to decide, what am I going to do now? And so the book kind of tells some of my my stories. I didn't always handle them well. I've learned along the way how to strengthen my resilience and tools and coping strategies that I now can apply to anything that I come across, big or small. It's the framework, that 3-step framework, that I find that it does help and it does work. And people always ask me, well, how did you get through that? That would devastate me. And I just want people to know, adversity can make you bitter or better, and it's our choice. And I chose better. And so I want to share what helped me with other people, and can't solve their problems, but I can give them the tools and the coping strategies to help them overcome their challenges.
Yeah. That is amazing. I don't want to gloss over the fact that these were 4 life-changing events in a 5-year period. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
That is major because just one event can derail people. And was the first event that happened, was that the breast cancer? Was that the first?
Yes. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then when I stopped the chemo, which fortunately the chemo worked, but when I stopped it, at the time I didn't know it, but I started having heart issues and heart problems, and was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And it turns out that I had a genetic marker that the chemo turned on the congestive heart failure. And my twin sister has it too. We didn't. It's a long story of how we discovered it was genetic. But if I hadn't gone through that breast cancer and started having the congestive heart failure symptoms, we wouldn't have known it was a genetic issue. And so our brother has the marker too, and each one of their children has it too. So doesn't guarantee you're going to get congestive heart failure, but we just have to be proactive and get a baseline test. Right. But yes, and then 3 months after my chemo stopped is when my oldest son, whom we had adopted from Russia 10 years prior, he died by suicide. And so I was in the hospital getting ready for some cancer surgery when that happened. And had a lot of wonderful supportive people around me, and which helped me get through that. And then a couple of years later is when I was diagnosed with needing a heart transplant, and that was at the beginning of COVID. So, right when COVID shut down,
so it was actually
is when I went in the hospital.
Five life-changing events, not 4, 5 in 5 years. Oh my gosh!
Well, yeah, I mean, COVID was kind of in there anyway. But
yeah, because COVID really messed with a lot of people. A lot of people had loss. A lot of people are seeing their point of view of things is a little different now. There's a lot of things that happen because of COVID, but all of these things that happen, I mean, just the cancer alone and finding out this news, I am so sorry for your loss, but finding out about your son when you're getting ready for surgery, I mean, that alone, and they can't postpone it, right? Because you need to have the surgery. I mean, that is heartbreaking to hear that, right? And so the fact that you were able to recover is miraculous in itself. The heart transplant, just even waiting, because I've heard stories that you have to wait, right? You have to wait for a match. How long did you have to wait?
Yes. I expected to wait 4 to 6 weeks, and they told me it could even be longer than that because of COVID shutting everything down. And so since I have O positive blood, it's very common, and so to give blood, it's great, but to receive an organ, I'm one of many trying to vie for an organ, a heart transplant. And so, so that was even going to be kind of, so that was kind of a strike against me, COVID, and just waiting for the right match, because there's so many things involved in matching a heart. It's tissue and blood, and I mean, it's mind-boggling because you don't want the body to reject. It's going to see that as a foreign object anyway, so you don't want your body to reject it or get an infection. And so again, yes, my faith played so much into all of this, and So when I went in the hospital in April, I brought my work with me because I was working from home anyway, running the day-to-day operations with the business. I'd already started delegating my work, but I just brought everything into the office because I couldn't have visitors. I had to, talk on the phone or, Zoom. And so I thought, well, I'm going to get bored. I might as well be productive. And 6 days later, they found a heart for me. Perfect match. So the doctor said, you found a good, strong heart for you. I'm going to the airport to make sure it's a good match and bring it back and we'll get you into surgery. And I did. That evening, I got my new heart, and 2 weeks later, I went home. It was Mother's Day weekend. I was so excited, and I thought this is the best Mother's Day gift I could ever have. I got a new heart. I get to spend it with my family, and then a month later, I found out I was going through a divorce. And my husband was in another relationship, and chose that after almost 30 years of marriage. And so I moved in with my sisters. Right. So that was a real trying time. Trying to, I mean, it was glad I was having a good recovery from the heart transplant, but the divorce was very devastating at the time.
So let me backtrack a little bit. Did you say they found a match after 6 days?
Yes.
Was that? Oh my goodness!
It was a miracle.
And
it was a miracle.
You were already expecting it to be 4 to 6 weeks, and sometimes I've heard it could take longer. But you found, in 6 days they found a match. That was a miracle in itself. That was fantastic. And then you're done with that, hoping that this is now behind the divorce. Were you thinking that was a possibility, or was that a surprise, or did you know anything was wrong, or?
Oh, well, in every marriage you have ups and downs, and we had been trying to work through stuff, and the business was stressful. We had gone to marriage counseling, and you take the vows. I didn't think we would end up in a divorce. I honestly didn't. But
you were committed to work it out. Yeah, you were committed.
I was
to
committed,
work it out, and you were working in the business.
When I was going through the grieving stages, when I got to the anger stage, yes, of course I was angry at him, but then it made me realize he moved on, and that's what I had to struggle with. And then I got mad at myself because it's like, okay, you're pining for something that's not ever going to happen. There's no reconciliation is not an option. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep suffering and reliving that pain over and over again? Or are you going to pick yourself up and move on? That was the changing point. That's when everything, because I stopped focusing on the past and I started living the present and trying to build towards my future. That's a lot of what the book is about, is coming to making that decision. And some people, like I talk about in the book, you can choose to be a victim or a victor. And it's their choice. I can't make it for them. So I think that's the first step in moving forward after hardship.
And I'm hearing almost
that mindset.
I'm hearing almost a theme that each time you faced a choice, you told yourself, okay, this is your option, which in one way you've empowered yourself to make a choice. But each time it's like you almost faced, okay, Laura, what am I going to do here? You got 1 to 2 things that you can do. So you made a choice, which I think the hope behind that is that we do have a choice, right? We have a choice of which way we're going to perceive this or go about this, right? Can you kind of speak into that in case somebody is going through something challenging right now?
It is, and because I can hear people going, well, I don't like my choices. Well, I didn't like my choices either going through the divorce, but it's like, so you still have a choice. I mean, you can either choose to not make a choice or choose to make a choice. Either way, it's going to be a choice. And one thing that I truly believe, because I know I've experienced this, through my life, and everybody else has, is you have to acknowledge that change is going to happen. Change is constant. And once you understand that things are going to change and you have to be flexible, then that's where it's going to be easier to make choices. And because I didn't like the choices I had at the time, but as I kept going forward, the situation would change for the better or just take a different path. And so if you learn to develop a growth mindset, which is what I talk about in the book, that's the first step. You concentrate on what's in your control to move forward. And so understanding that change is going to happen, concentrate more on the journey rather than the outcome. You can set a goal, but if you understand the goal may not be the same thing that you're looking for or that you achieve, you might get it. It might take you to a different goal, but it's always going to be better. And that's something that I learned out of those experiences in that short period of time. I always found at least one good thing that came out of those tragic experiences. And I got to the point where I could find more than one. But it's changing your perspective and looking for the positive. It's not making things up, but it's actually finding the good in things, in the situation, in people. Once you understand what you're in control of, which is, your thoughts, your words, and your actions, then you can move forward. But as long as you understand what's out of your control is going to be other people, their thoughts, their words, their actions, you don't have any control over that.
Absolutely. So, I think this message is so appropriate for today because there's so much going on in the world. And like we said earlier, even COVID, there's still the effects of it. And people's perspective has changed a lot about different things. You find people kind of online, because we're online so much, we find them almost on edge, on edge. And I think this message is so appropriate, especially for today, what's going on in the world. And there's a lot of people that have been displaced from corporate jobs. Divorce continues, unfortunately. There's a lot of people going through divorce. There's a lot of single moms. There's a lot of things going on. And that's one of the things I often share, that an email is not just an email. It's a real person behind that email with goals and dreams, but also with problems and challenges. Even the good things in life can be stressful, relocation or a marriage or having a baby, those things can be stressful as well. So we're not even talking the bad things. Even the good things can create anxiety. And sometimes we need resilience to raise our 4 kids and take them to soccer and keep a schedule and maintain boundaries and all this other stuff. So life is full of it. And so I could see how this book, because I was going to ask you who this book is for, and we never want to say it's for anyone, but I have a feeling this is one situation where we can say it is for people that want to be more resilient, right? And regardless of what's happening in their lives. Would you agree?
It is. It's for people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they need something to change in their life, and they have that. They have the power to change their life for the better, and regardless of whether anybody wants to come along with them or not, they have that choice. And I wrote the book too. It's very easy. Easy coping strategies. It's easy to understand. It's broken down into baby steps, because my goal with this book and with my message is to let people know it's doable. It's achievable. You can do it. You can teach somebody else to do it. That's the best way how we learn, is by telling somebody else these, the strategies in the book, the resilience skills and the coping strategies. And we can pass this down, leave a legacy of resilience to the next generation, our children, our grandchildren.
I love what you said about learning these skills and then even teaching it to your children, or your grandchildren. That is so valuable, because they're going to need those kind of skills. They're going to need those kind of skills. So I love that you said that. And I'll tell you, listeners, that if you knew Laura, you would never know she has gone through so much, because she said she went through 4 life-changing events. I added another COVID, and I'm adding another one, a 6th one in a 5-year period. And that's the fact that you lost your income. Because you were helping in your husband's business. You were working together in that, right? And I'm going to even add another one too, because so you lost your business basically, and then you lost not a house, but you lost your home.
Yeah.
So I just added 7. So I keep piling it on because I want to explain to the audience, not to make you feel bad. I don't want to make you feel, but to explain to the audience how much she had to face. I mean, think of that, losing your home, right? And the business. So we're talking about financial, and that's a stressor right there. But if you had an opportunity to sit down with Laura, she is the most loving, kind, generous, compassionate person you would meet on the planet. She is just so caring. And I know that as a resilience coach, because that's how you call yourself a resilience coach, I know the people that you're going to come alongside, they're going to be able to just from being with you, gain not only the tools that they need, but you are such an example of grace and kindness that I think they're going to just absolutely want to be able to see things like you see things and use those tools, because you help them realize that it is possible. And so I just had to say that because I respect you so much as a woman, a strong woman who is daring to do something that most people would say, that's too hard, you can't do that, and yet you're doing it. So I applaud you for that. And so does the book allow people to connect with you because I'm sure you probably have some coaching programs or something for people that want more? Do you have something else that you offer people besides the book?
Yes, I do. On my website, I have some free resources. I have a workbook, just a simple workbook that is 3 life-changing hacks to disrupt thinking traps and reduce stress. And that's on my website. And I have a weekly blog that I put out that's accessible on my website, and a weekly newsletter. And I do have ways that people can work with me. And I just wanted to add something because you were so kind with the words you used to describe me. How I tell people now is when I was going through all that 3 years ago, it's like I got pushed out of my comfort zone and the door was locked and I couldn't go back in to my comfort zone. So I had to, you know, how you get locked out of the house or something and you go, oh no, what am I going to do? That's, that's kind of how it happened. It's just a quick way to, to tell people, what happened. And so, I don't want people to find themselves in that situation where they're forced out of their comfort zone. So, I have some skills and strategies to help with that. But it is exciting once you start getting out of your comfort zone. You do see opportunities. You do find more joy in your life, and I want people to know, if I can do it, they can too, because I'm an ordinary person who went through extraordinary things, and I know others can do it and probably even do it better than I have, but I don't want them to make the mistakes I did. So that's why I wrote the book. Let me help you do it faster.
Yeah. So we have a little offer, a surprise for people, because I'm sure people want to buy the book, but the book is not going to be available yet till what date? What's the launch date on that?
It'll be available to purchase on December 5th and on Amazon and all the major places to buy the book. But yes, I do have an opportunity right now. I am putting together a book launch team. People join that, they get an opportunity to get the free version of the book. Also a opportunity to get a free signed paperback book. It's free to them, and there'll be some other resources, fun challenges. Everything is on my website. It's easy to find,
Okay.
and and they can sign up there. And it's a private Facebook group, and so it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, I love it because they'll have a copy of the book and then they'll have an extra copy to give to someone too. So that's great, an autographed copy, and then you'll get the reviews. I think that's a great idea. It sounds like a win-win all the way around to read the book and make sure you get them to take a picture of the book with them so you can get pictures of people who are reading the book.
I know. I know. I'm still working on all the details. I'm kind of, this is all kind of new to me too, but I'm we'll all learn together.
It's exciting.
We're resilient.
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen those pictures where everybody holds up a book, and they get us a little clip of everybody holding up the book. Those are fun. So that sounds exciting. So now, just to repeat, so everybody knows, you can go to Laura's website, and we'll give you all those details. It'll be in the show notes too. And you can join her book launch team. And with that, you'll get an immediate PDF copy of the book. And there's just a few things for you to do, but you'll be able to read a copy of the book and you'll be able to share it with some friends and family. And then you'll end up with an actual physical copy that you can give to someone, a loved one, a friend, a spouse, whoever needs it. And that it would be such a wonderful gift for them. Do you want to give them the website so that they can go visit that and get on your book launch team? What is the website URL?
Yes, it's icopetohope.com, and that's the ICOPE, the number 2, HOPE.com.
Laura, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed having you and hearing your story. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing. You're really an inspiration. I know there's so much more that you do. You volunteer. There's more that we didn't have time to cover. But thank you so much for everything you're doing and really creating change in the world. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Marisa. I really enjoyed it.
All righty, everyone. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.